she didn't envy me. Passing it off like CP3. Shawty, she calling me MVP. I be on time, it's something you ain't never seen before. They call me the Dama, really want my whole team to score. Damn, yeah, too icy, yeah, too clean, yeah, my zone, yeah, 2-3, yeah, got shooters that hit from deep, bust like Giannis, yeah, too mean. Bright lights like we at the garden, on P, don't get me started. Whole team walk through me to party. If I can't make the play, I'ma lob it. If you jump, that's right on your head. Had to put him to sleep, go to bed. I'm a star, drop 50 and left. From the logo, like I'm Steph. Put it up, knock him down every time. Going hard like my life on the line. Catch me on the course, I would've dime. Never losing, I put it on mine. Had to get on my shit, I've been laying low. Make it real when it comes to the playoffs. You fight with me, know it's a chaos.
Let him cook. Let him cook now. Let him cook. I said let him cook.
Ladies and gentlemen, from La Casa de los Lobos, the Pit, here at the University of New Mexico, let's get ready to rumble!
Hitting you with the triple hey. Nothing like Robin Thicke over the holidays. Hey, my name's Ryan Samori. Welcome to the Pit Press Live. Happy to have you here. And happy Honda Days. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Toyota-thon. Happy Hanukkah. Happy belated Thanksgiving to that Republican guy that was commenting on Twitter. Busy show for us today. I am amped because the CFP is here. I'm looking forward to this game tonight. I never thought Indiana football would mean so much to me, but it does tonight. Notre Dame and Indiana, 6 o'clock Mountain Time. Nothing cooler than, I think, as much as I make fun of Notre Dame, and Ed, you wouldn't know that, being that I went to St. Pius. making fun of Notre Dame for all those years, but I'm kind of pulling from it. I like Marcus Freeman. At 4:15, your new athletic director of the University of New Mexico, Mr. Fernando Lovo. Fern, I don't know which one he wants to go by. I think I heard him say it does not matter. So I'll get to usual suspects here in a second, but I do want to appreciate our sponsors: Dulce River Bakery and Coffee, Affordable Solar, Turquoise Desert Tap Room, and as I always mention, I just like saying Tim Baca Sr. and Tim Baca Jr. over at Hydro Bar. Affordable service, heating, plumbing, and air conditioning for your HVAC needs in the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho area. Affordable service has been in business in New Mexico since 1986, and it is still locally owned. During that time, they've served more than 40,000 customers, providing complete residential and light commercial HVAC services, including heating, cooling, electrical, and plumbing. Affordable service takes pride in its staff and its commitment to the Albuquerque and Rio Rancho community. To some of the usual suspects, and this gentleman who has joined me in this 4 o'clock hour endeavor. He's a Lobo fan since 1970 and the voice of the Western New Mexico Mustangs. Ed, how you doing? And being that it's the holidays, I can't thank you enough for joining me.
No problem, Ryan. No, doing great. Just flew in from Silver City on an early morning flight. Happy to be back.
Not the red eye. To my business partner of this endeavor, Mr. Eric Malton. And Eric, I'm going to have you direct our listeners to the podcast that I'm not a part of.
Yeah, no, I'm happy to jump on with you guys. It's been a minute since I've been on a live stream. We did release a podcast this morning, created a graphic for it. Well, Rick, Jacob Neff, and I jumped on the pod last night, break down the big win over VCU. Obviously, the 40-point nugget that Donovan Dent laid on him last night. We kind of break it down, give our analysis, our opinion, our takes, and it's a good hour long. So visit us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts, Buzzsprout, look for the Pit Press podcast, and you can find us there. We're trying to get more regular with it. I think we've released 2 podcasts consistently by the last couple of weeks, really heavy on UNM basketball now, and kind of everything happening in the Mountain West Conference. So we appreciate the listens, and let's move on with the show.
Very quickly, before I get to Ed's thoughts on the VCU victory, I'll give my thoughts on that. Like Notre Dame to cover tonight, like the SMU over. Clemson at 11.5, and him, Klubnik and Ewers have a history. They played against each other in a Texas State title game. 11.5 for Clemson. Dabo's been there. He's done that before. I will take that. And then I believe it's Ohio State at -7. It's been up and down. Man, I'm a Josh Heupel guy, but I guess I'm going with all the home favorites. It's crazy, but I think for this 12-team playoff to start in South Bend, Indiana, and have teams like SMU who had a death penalty. When you think of University of Indiana, you think of probably Bobby Knight and Assembly Hall, not Catholics versus cigarettes, with Marcus Freeman taking on Kirk Cignetti tonight, who's done an outstanding job there in his first year. I cannot wait for 6 o'clock. I've been bugging Frank Mercagliano, and Frank, thank you. I'm going to wear the Grinch next year to the home game before. I'm going to dress up as the Grinch next year before the first, at the home game before the holidays while you're Santa. But thank you for getting us Fernando here in a few minutes. Lost my train of thought, as I always do. I'm just amped for the college football playoff and to start in South Bend tonight in cold weather. It's great. I don't want to steal Ed's thunder because Ed's the basketball guy. As quickly as the NMSU loss was a March killer, what does Lloyd tell Harry and Dumb and Dumber? You bringing me back in, or not to quote Godfather 3, but you're reeling me back in. Donovan Dent, I mean, that's probably, of all the games I've seen at the Pit in the last 15, 16 years, that was one of the most impressive performances. He can't do that every night. 10 of 11 from the free throw line. That's my big stink. But a very, very good win against a top 40 Ken Palm team. Put yourself back in maybe a decent position. I think that the committee will probably look at New Mexico State come March and say, shame on you if they're on the bubble. Maybe just run the table and win the whole thing because you have to win. Ed, you're the basketball guy. You have the floor.
Guys did a great job last night in breaking down that win. I heard about 20 minutes of it, and they did a real good job. And I think one of the points you made about the free throw line, they drew fouls and went to the free throw line and made. You always have the hat on. They made their free throws. The other thing was, I think Jacob Neff brought it up last night on the podcast, was the VCU big men did not shoot very well, nor did they shoot well as a team. And somebody pointed out online that they might have been tired due to the altitude. They didn't have a lot of legs. Schluga, he didn't have a great first half, and Borovichinen did a nice job in the second half. He took him to school, man. He's a veteran. Borovichinen is a decent defender, but Schluga had his way with him in the second half. But I got to say, you mentioned that loss to New Mexico State was pretty bad. And Dent's performance, House went for 42. Elijah Brown went for 41. And Dent with 45 rebounds and 4 assists. They kept letting him get in the paint. Once he gets 2 feet in the paint, very hard to stop. And their defensive coverage on him, I was a little surprised. They did throw bodies at him. Coach Pitino said that. He knifed his way through, split double teams. Nelly, with 15 points, I believe. No, 15 and 11. And Amzil 15 and 8. Now, Borovichinen and Rick brought this up last night. Didn't score, but he had 9 rebounds. That helps. CJ Nolan was no factor. 3 fouls, 0 points. Dotson 2 points. So Nolan, I got to say this. He's still waiting to find his pit shooting touch. We saw Amzil go through that last year, and he finally found it. And Nolan's a good shooter. I know right now we haven't seen it, but he was no factor at all. Applehands had 4, Dotson with 2. They didn't get a lot off the bench. So I thought Dent's performance was one of those ones that we don't see. That's a performance we won't forget, and they needed it. And it's a big win against a very good defensive team and a good team, a highly regarded VCU team. So does that erase the Aggie loss? No, but it helps. It helps. It's a good win, and they get a little bit of a break here. And, and they needed it. Think about this, too. They didn't have Nolan, and then True had the contusion. He didn't play. So, they went with just with Dent, no effect from Nolan, and Dotson 2 points in 15 minutes, 3 rebounds. So they did miss True, and he wasn't even out there. So a big win. Again, that doesn't erase the Aggie loss, but I think it's a feel-good win, and one Coach Pitino said in the paper they had to have. So I thought it was a good win. I really did.
Eric, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, no, I think the box score tells one side of the story. Definitely, Applehands had 4 points. Nolan didn't have a point. But you also got to look between those two players. They combined for 4 total shot attempts, and they both played over 16 minutes. So to me, when you have 2 of your most efficient shooters on the floor and they combine for 4 total shot attempts, that's just not getting them their looks. And for a guy like Nolan, who has shown flashes this season, I thought he did a good job against St. John's, kind of kept them in that game to remain competitive. He has the ability, and we all know what Applehands can do too. He has the ability. It's about finding them the looks. And we talked about it. Dent had his way, made it really hard on that VCU defense. They were kind of playing some drop coverage to try to take away some of the pick and roll game. And he still, what all that did was just open up the lane for him. And when Dent gets going downhill, he's damn near impossible to stop. So when he did find opportunities to get the ball down low into Nelly, I think Nelly kind of found some trouble. He had 4 turnovers. He gets stuck in certain points of the game where he's a little indecisive. So I think if he starts to shore up and anticipate some of those double screen or the double teams coming from the weak side, he's got to find the shooters, and he's got to find them quick because they're sitting out there. Applehands is definitely one of those guys that can get hot. We saw him make 6 threes in the game earlier this season. It's just about knowing who's on the floor, knowing where your personnel's at, and knowing that these teams are probably planning to take away that pick and roll game and looking to double Nelly if he touches the ball on the block. So I think heading into the conference season, they're probably in a good spot. And no one really expected the True Washington news walking into the pit last night. I was like, man, where is this team going to find the defensive identity tonight? Because if he's the catalyst on the defensive side of the ball for this squad, who's going to be the leader? Who's the one that's going to pick up the pace and really start applying the ball pressure? And it looked like Borovichinen did. He held Shulga to 4 points in the first half. He really didn't going until about 16 minutes in the second half. So he's an experienced, savvy player in Shulga. and I think he just wore Borovichinen down. But collectively, I thought they did a really good job defensively. VCU gets a lot of their points from the 3-point line. They went 10 of 31 the entire game, so the Lobos did a good job of applying the pressure around the 3-point line, making VCU force them into some bad shots. So that's just my take.
Real quick, too, I think their 3-point defense, that's a good point, Eric, because their 3-point defense against New Mexico State was not good. So against VCU is much better.
I'm going to totally go off topic here before we have Fernando Lovo join us. I went to say hi to a old friend of mine behind one of the baskets, and I had a guy, not that everybody hate. So just to prove a point that not everybody hates me, he had said, "Hey, Pit Press." And I didn't talk to the guy. So if you're watching and I didn't get your name, because I'm usually much more friendly out in public than that, I'm a social butterfly. I didn't get your name, sir. I apologize, and thank you for watching the show. So I'm just I'm just throwing that out there. I thought that was cool because that doesn't happen all the time. Usually I'm getting expletives thrown at me on Twitter. So we are going to bring in our very next special guest after I use what Eric had created. That history degree was hard at work right there. All right, our very special guest today, right before the holidays, and welcome to Albuquerque, New Mexico. I don't have any bad jokes. His name is Fernando Lovo. He's the new athletic director for the University of New Mexico. Fernando, thank you for joining. I know I overheard you say you go by Fern or Fernando, so I know I'm a year older than you, but I'll call you Mr. Lovo because you have a better paying position.
Please don't do that.
How are you doing this afternoon? And I know it's the holidays. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I've packing my bags. I'm headed back to Austin tomorrow just to see the family for the first time in 20 days. But it's been a hell of 20 days in Albuquerque, and I'm so excited and honored to be here. And thanks for having me on.
Please don't lie. I hope you're going to the football game tomorrow. With that transition, can I just ask you quickly about the CFP? You have an extensive, I'm a massive, all these guys are college basketball fans. I'm a big college football fan. Very quickly, before we tackle UNM, your thoughts on the CFP, and do you like it? And did the committee get it right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, it's been an ever evolving thing here, obviously, and it's going to continue to evolve, right? There's always going to be things that you look at and say, they could have been done better, the seeding this, the seeding that. But you look at the quality of games that we're going to see here in the first round. And yeah, actually, it's funny you say that. My son is a diehard Lobo fan. In fact, the other night, he's 5 years old. So my wife called me and said that there was a big ruckus. I'm gonna digress here for a moment, but he was in his room and saying, "Everyone's a Lobo, woof woof," and so he's fully bought in. But he still has his Longhorns connections from our 5 years there. So he wants to go to the game. So I'm going to go ahead and take him to go see the Longhorns play Clemson tomorrow. But no, I'm really excited. I think as a college football fan, not be to see those matchups. I saw that it was snowing in South Bend, and how cool is that, right? So as a college football, junkie, and I know we're all sports junkies, I think they got it right, and I think we're going to be in for a heck of a treat over the next few weeks.
I appreciate that answer, and forgive my sense of humor, because if I was in Austin tomorrow, I know what if I was in any of those four cities this weekend, I'd spend the money. Jason, now focusing on football, and side comment for all of us who have grown up here that are UNM alumni, and maybe Mike Loxley. I used to be a huge UNM football fan, and you're slowly bringing me back. So side note, I'm very happy with the Jason Eck hire. Speaking of his name, he just became the 34th head football coach in UNM history. And your first big hire in an exciting 13 days at UNM as the AD. What was it about him? Trying to not ask the same questions, but what was it about him that made you think that he is the guy to get UNM football righted?
Yeah, no, and I've answered this, and it's really something it's easy to say, because I knew quickly when I first sat down with him in person and got in front of him that what he believed in, what his values are, and what his vision is for this program were exactly what we needed. Obviously, as I said in my press conference, the community and our team needed some stability and something to believe in, right, and some hope. And And really, Bronco did a tremendous job in his 1 year here. I mean, obviously a ton of development, a lot of progress and success on the field. And so certainly nothing to take away from that, but it was a hard, 10 days for our student athletes. And so just his ability, number one, to engage, with not just me, right, but with the search committee, and also his ability to sell his vision for this program. And, it's been said a number of times, but, this new age of college athletics, you're building a new team every year. There's no doubt about it, right? With the transfer portal and whatever else. I mean, whether you're in Group of 5, FCS, or P4, it doesn't matter, right? There's times have changed, and you have to be nimble. You have to be willing to adapt. And Coach X showed that he's able to do that. But he also showed, not just by his success at at Idaho, going from 4 wins to 7 to 9 to 10, that he can build a program in the midst of being able to build teams. And so, for me, his ability to show, what he's able to do, both his proven success, and his vision for the program, and the pillars that are the foundation for his program, were for me what sold me. Right. He's also engaging. He loves being here in the city of Albuquerque. His family is super excited to be here. And so all of those things combined, I think, just made an absolute no-brainer, and couldn't be more excited that Coach X part of Lobo Nation.
I think I truly, but it doesn't matter what my opinion is. Even though I host the show, I think it's a slam dunk, because I'll get it either way on Twitter. You've been to the pit. I think your first true pit game was probably Wednesday night against VCU, and what a way to take that in. We know what that arena can be like. There is chatter that maybe the football stadium, University Stadium, needs renovations. I know you're still new here, but do you think that maybe in the long run, in the football stadiums you've been around, and the facilities you've been around, have you had a little bit of conversation about that? Have you thought about that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first off, the pit is what an incredible venue, an incredible atmosphere and environment, and it's one of the best I've ever been around. But no question. I mean, this day and age, you always have to be looking to innovate, right? And a big part of being able to do that, and staying on the the progressive side of it, is to push when it comes to facilities and capital investments. And so, we understand, right, that we need to improve in terms of our football stadium. And I think doing that will have an incredible impact, not just on Lobo football, but the community as a whole. I've had conversations early with Coach X about kind of his vision and what he believes, is important when it comes to facilities and our stadium. And I think there's a lot of opportunity there. We know that a winning football program brings not just excitement to the athletic department, but the institution and across the state. And again, part of that is providing our fans with an experience that's second to none in terms of what the facilities are we can offer them, and the in-game experience. And so absolutely, that's a priority for me. And I know a priority, I've had conversations with our leadership, our university leadership. It's a priority for all of us. We have to be strategic about it. We have to look at how do we make the right investments, and what do we truly need to do to our stadium to make it a venue that can not just generate excitement for our fans, for Lobo Nation, but across the state of New Mexico. We have an incredible obligation as the flagship institution of this state to bring people together. And I think, pushing in terms of our facilities and what we can offer to our fans and to our constituents is something that we always need to look at.
I appreciate that answer. I didn't introduce the two, even though they're always on the show. I didn't introduce my business partner with the company, Eric Malton, and Mr. Ed Nunez. I'm going to throw over the next couple questions to Ed.
Fern, it was a quick turnaround after Coach Mendenhall left here, and President Stokes mentioned you got the job done in a week in getting Coach Eck here. I think you're excited about it. I think the community's excited about it. But, there's been questions, and a lot of people were wondering, I don't know if you can comment on this or not. Can you comment on how many candidates were interviewed?
Yeah, to be honest with you, an exact number would be hard for me to even remember, but that's a good thing, because we had a lot of interest in this position. This is a special place. It's no different than what sold me on this opportunity, that what created the interest for our open football coach position when Coach Mendenhall left. I mean, this is a really special place that's shown that we're willing to make an investment and commitment to have a successful football program, and just where we're located, right? The state of New Mexico, we're the flagship institution the pride that exists within this community in this state for the Lobos is second to none. We are the professional franchise of this state. And so, when coaches across the country, I said in my press conference, from sitting head coaches to former head coaches to elite coordinators to elite position coaches, we were fielding calls from a number of folks. And that speaks to how special this place is and how incredible of a job and opportunity that this is. So we were certainly thrilled with the interest in the position, and even more thrilled in what we were able to find in Coach Eck.
Yeah, it sounds like a great hire. I think a lot of people are very optimistic about that. You had great experiences at Texas and Jacksonville. What did you learn in your past experiences there at Texas and Jacksonville that you feel could be implemented at UNM right out of the gate?
Yeah, so one of the things that I learned, at both places, particularly at the University of Texas, and I've been saying this over the last few days, is that when we're united, right, when we're united across the board in the athletic department, the institution, and across our fan base, there's really nothing that we can't achieve. Again, this is a special place, and when the momentum comes together, we can go to wherever it is that our goals, take us to. And so just understanding the alignment, right, that's necessary across the board to achieve the levels of success that we all want to achieve, I think that's critical. And I learned this at a very, very young age in my start in college athletics, is that you win with people. You need to have really, really good people around you to be successful and to compete for championships or whatever walk of life it is, right? If you're a CEO of a company, of a Fortune 500 company, you need to have great people around you. And so just watching my mentors, whether it's Chris Del Conte or Urban Meyer or, some of the other great mentors I've been able to work around, they're always so hyper-focused on the people. Surrounding yourself with people that allow you to flourish, that challenge you, and that bring ideas to the table that can help push the envelope, right? Because Meyer, he never let complacency set in. And so it was always, what's next? We're always pushing. And so surrounding myself with people that will do that for me is something that I'm always, cognizant of. And I'm very fortunate since I've been here, to be able to work with some incredible folks that are in the department and across the university has really been helpful to me and really helped me hit the ground running. So, those two lessons of just alignment and surrounding yourself with the right people are things that I always focus on as I approach each and every day, because I know that those are prerequisites for success.
I'm going to let Eric get in on this.
Hey, Fern, thanks again for joining us on the Pit Press, but kind of a two-sided question here. You've probably been asked it plenty of times before, but what about New Mexico really kind of excited you about being interviewed and then essentially taking this job, and then coming with the New Mexico job poses some challenges? What challenge are you most looking forward to kind of tackling first?
Yeah, so first, just the people, right? And again, I said it before, but early in the process, when I was able to connect both with folks that were involved in the process, and then just talking to some individuals that had either been at New Mexico or lived in the state of New Mexico, they were quick to tell me how powerful just the alignment of the people in the state of New Mexico and in the institution are. And it was clear to me early on, when I started to have those conversations, that this was a place that had incredible people, and I could see myself integrating myself into that community, and then the potential, I said it, in my press conference, some may view challenges, I view them as opportunities, right? This every school, whether you're in the Group of Five or the Power Four, everybody's facing challenges and opportunities right now, and it's about your attitude as to how you approach them. And so, as I was going through the process, I felt that our attitude here at the University of New Mexico was that we were going to be bold. We were going to push forward in this new age of college athletics, and so the potential that New Mexico has, I really feel is second to none, both academically, athletically, whatever it might be. And so the ability to join, our leadership to elevate New Mexico, both academically and athletically, was something that was frankly just too good of an opportunity for me to pass up. And so, I'm really excited about the opportunity to serve. And having only been here 20 days, I can tell you I've learned a lot quickly, but everything that I saw throughout the process is exactly what I thought it would be, great people, great attitude, and a great desire to be successful both academically and athletically. And it's just been an incredible 20 days for me.
And well, I'll leave you with one last question. Thanks again for your time. But we've been fortunate enough to have Gloria Navarez from the Mountain West
Yeah.
Conference on our show. What has that introduction been like, not only with Gloria, but the rest of the ADs from the public or the member schools?
Yeah, so Commissioner Navarez she's incredible. I've been on a handful of calls so far since I was able to hit the ground running here a few weeks ago, and her leadership, her knowledge, her understanding of the landscape of college athletics is very impressive. And I said it in my press conference that we're really bullish about the Mountain West. We're proud members of the Mountain West, and with her great leadership and her vision and her creativity, we're very, very excited about what the future of the Mountain West holds. And just in my couple of interactions since I've been able to get here and get started, I've been extremely impressed. And again, I can sense an attitude of excitement and just optimism in terms of what the future holds. And we feel really good as a membership about where Commissioner Navarez has placed us right now and where we're headed in the future. So really look forward to continuing to work with her and getting to know her better. But just at New Mexico, we're really bullish about what the Mountain West is now and what it will become here in the next few years.
I will end it on the softball questions. Two of them. Number one, have you met Snake? And number two, red or green?
So let me start with the latter. Christmas. I'm going with Christmas Day. I've tried red, I've tried green, but I'm a Christmas guy, 100%. I went to Frontier for the first time the other night, and I got the New Mexican combo, and it was incredible. I got it with green chili, but I'm a Christmas guy, 100%. And have I met Snake? I don't believe I have, but I would like to meet Snake. Not sure exactly what that means, but it sounds awesome. So,
I apologize. He's the guy who's dressed up like the face painted in the student section.
Yes. Wait.
Yeah.
I was in there. I was in the student section
right.
the other night, and I was bouncing around. So forgive me for not understanding that was Snake, but absolutely. So that was an incredible experience. I'm glad they let me crash their party for about 10 minutes. I loved it. So
I didn't mean to throw a curveball at you on that one, because I think, one, you probably have to be from Albuquerque. Two, you probably had to have gone to UNM, although I'm still trying to figure out what Snake majored in, even though I love the guy.
Love it.
Fernando Lovo, thank you for number one, thank you for putting up with my sense of humor, joining Eric, Ed, and I here on the Pit Press. We really appreciate your time. Safe travels. Happy holidays. Happy New Year to you.
Thanks. Happy holidays. Happy to come back on anytime, and go Lobos.
Thanks so much.
We will bug you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Appreciate Fernando Lovo there. It makes me wish I had been more assertive in my life, because he's 36 and an athletic director of a D1 school. I like him. I think he says all the right things. And this isn't a knock on him. The bar is a little set low because of Paul Krebs, but I like, that's a bad joke. I like his enthusiasm. There's youth. I like X enthusiasm. Patino's great. With the media, he gets people. He knows how to handle social media too. I'm finally glad we got him on the show. Eric, I'll start with you. That's more your type of deal, understanding that world of sports. I think he's tackling this the right way. And, everybody knows me and how critical I am. I think it's a good hire, and I think X a good hire.
Yeah, well, considering how young he is, he's got a ton of experience from his time at UT and then spending a season with the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's seen, at the highest levels of football, and then just athletic department administration, right? Like UT does it right. They're at top of the NCAA kind of Big 12 or SEC now, excuse me. But he's overseen large multi-million-dollar projects, stadium renovations. You talk about a marketing department, social media, and just his comments on innovation. Those are the ones that kind of really stood out to me the most in his interview, that should excite Lobo fans throughout the state, because the Pit went through that renovation. I think the basketball program really holds serve season in, season out. the pit is a nice venue, but I agree with what you asked him, Ryan, about the football stadium. I think it does need a facelift, and I think they need to really take a hard look at in-game experience, because I've listened to Fern's interviews that he's had kind of just the course of the weeks that he's been here. But you can look across the street at Isotopes Park, and it doesn't matter who they're playing. It doesn't matter who's on the roster. They're still going to get 15,000 fans there and just having a good night out at the ballpark. So I think that's what they're looking to implement here. And I think they're looking to innovate a few different things. I don't know what that looks like entirely, but the question that also poses is, if you are willing to make those type of investments in the program, where is that investment going to come from? UNM has one of the smallest athletic budgets in the Mountain West. Was one of the primary reasons that they weren't invited to join the Pac-6 or the new Pac-12 and that whole ordeal. So you really have to take a look at the budget and how are you going to grow that budget? Are you going to approach the state legislator and ask them to allocate more money to the athletic department? That would also include New Mexico State allotment. So I think he's going about it the right way. I think he's got his plate full. And really, it's like, where do I start? Because he's probably just got a pile of projects on his desk that he wants to go after first. But I'm really excited about it. I think that the new, young, upbeat feel and enthusiasm that he brings is something that's been needed here. So I was glad that he was able to come on. I'm glad you reached out to him and Frank agreed to let him come on our show. So Ed, what did you think?
You know what? You make a lot of great points there. And I told Ryan this. He's young and he's not jaded by anything that happened in the past. People may say, "Well, New Mexico this or New Mexico that."
I mean, like me?
No, I wasn't even thinking of you. In that regard. So I think he's again the slate is clean. They may say something, but he's young. He thinks he's going to come in here. Young people think that, and I'm not faulting him for that at all. And my son thinks he's Superman a lot of times, and I say that most lovingly because that's my son, and I have to calm him down sometimes. And he's got, he wants to do real well at his job, and he does. So I think that youthfulness helps. I really do. Now, when he said about the stadium, I talked to somebody yesterday, a Lobo fan for almost as long as me, and we're asking him to fix the stadium, right? Does it need renovation? There's no doubt about it. But is the will behind it, the political will, the community support, the state support? Do they need development around the stadium, restaurants, things like that? They do. Somebody else just mentioned this to me, and it's a good comment. United has built a brand. They get 13,000 a game, 8 to 13,000 every single game. They've got a brand, and the Lobos can't get that. So I think there's a big challenge here, a big challenge. This is not football. He's in charge of the whole athletic department, and Eddie Nunez would always say that. We've got a great GPA. We've won championships in other sports, and they did. People want to see football and basketball and baseball to a lesser extent do well. It's a huge challenge here because, again, you can't just hang this on Fernando Lovo about the stadium and the state of the football program. There's been others here before him, John Bridgers, Paul Krebs, Eddie Nunez. It goes back a long way. And, they didn't have the political will or the backing, but I think this is a very key thing here. You got Jason Eck in here who seems, Ryan, you were at the press conference, and I listened to the press conference. I really like the guy a lot. But again, if things don't change there, if there isn't a change, again, with the you mentioned it, Eric, and we talked to Will Weber about this. I don't go to the Isotopes to go see the team. I don't even know who the heck's on the team. Back in the day when the Dukes were here, I knew every player. I told Will Weber that. I would check the box scores religiously on who was playing. So the ambiance, right? Now, the Lobos New Mexico has to do a better job, I would think, of marketing that football team. Now, I'm not in the marketing department. I'm just saying, look at the results. All you have to do is look inside the numbers. Chris Berman would say that. Look inside the attendance numbers, what they've had. This is a big opportunity for him to build something here. Again, it's not just him. The past athletic directors didn't change the scope of the football culture. Now, you could say Bronco Mendenhall was on the way with that, of winning 5 games where they hadn't won. They haven't had a winning season since 2016. They've got a lot of work to do here. So I like I think you're right, Eric. the youthfulness, enthusiasm. He's not jaded. He's nobody. No matter what anybody says about him, he's going to make it work. He's going to try. He's got that youthfulness, and there's nothing in the past that's going to say, "I've seen it. I know we can't succeed there." So I think I'm excited about him and what he said, and I'm with you, Eric. Thank Frank for letting him come on, man. I thought it was great.
You talk about the youthfulness and freshness. He's so fresh and so clean. Everybody, and we as this fishbowl community feel so jaded when it's not one of our own because we feel so wronged. Do I wish that Zach Arnett and Holloman Wiggins got a chance? Yes, because there's something incredibly wrong with this football program. As I said, it's its own worst enemy. And it doesn't seem to matter who's there. And side note, I've wondered what Eddie Newton is. Not that he cares, but if he thought about Bronco leaving and when he saw the news. But sometimes I think outsider and fresh and clean, somebody new with enthusiasm, it's probably not a bad thing. I know that probably Bronco Mendenhall wanted Dave Williams. Dave Williams, it's not rumored. Dave Williams was the reason that Bronco got the job here. And once again, you don't quit your job, you quit your bosses. Has nothing to do with loyalty. And I'm repeating myself here. I repeat myself saying I'm repeating myself. I know it's hindsight 2020. I thought Bronco Mendenhall was a really shitty hire. And I am wrong a lot because I just don't like, I'm not perfect either. It's just an onion like Shrek. I can't believe I'm doing that. It's the metaphorical hurricane that's building on why he left. We're probably not everybody's cup of tea. And I've said that he looked fucking miserable since at almost every press conference. And I don't think it was the fact that he just didn't like to do press conferences. I think he was genuinely not happy. I'm going to go I got to go to Ice Baby. Stop, collaborate, and listen. Ice is back with a brand new invention. Something grabs a hold of me tightly. Sometimes it's better for an outsider to take the job. For example, look at Danny G. Maybe I'm biased towards Danny because I really liked him because he gave us the time of day. I didn't even bother to ask for Bronco to come on this show because I know he wouldn't. We talked to him once one-on-one, and it was for like 7 minutes in Vegas. I didn't even bother. Danny was willing to come on our show. I'm hoping I can build that kind of relationship. We can build that kind of relationship with Jason Eck. He seems like a cool dude. He seems like the big guy sitting at the end of the bar that actually has coaching experience and would be able to interject in a conversation with guys talking football at the bar. And to go to this, Greg Lujan, fireworks show, promotional games, what would be possible? I've said for years, dollar beer night, even though they slapped DWI advertisements all over that stadium. And they did do a fireworks show, but it backfired on them because nobody was there. And the fireworks started to go off when Bronco was doing his press conference, which was in the new weight training facility. And you could hear the fireworks and see the fireworks. It's not about being a privileged member of the media. Jared Chester, Van Tate, whoever from Channel 7, Paul, oh goodness, Paul, I forgot your last name. Lee Faria's cameraman. I think it's Paul Gutierrez. And Paul, if I got that wrong, I'm sorry. They have a job to do. Sean Ryder has a job to do. JJ Buck has a job to do. We are there to work. They don't want to be interjected with fireworks during a press conference because he's only there for 10 minutes and he didn't seem to care. He kept talking. So I think that's where my level of frustration got. But there's incentives for coaches who do more media. They get paid that way. Not that we're the end all be all. And I believe this is Ice Baby too. I want to go back to you. Tremendous hire by our athletic director. Can't wait. Super excited for the future of Lobo football. Welcome, Fernando Lovo, Silver and Red. I don't know if either of you have anything to say after my rant and tangent, which what it wasn't intended to be. But either of you.
Yeah, I do want to comment on the Zach Arnett thing. And your comments about the outsider and the fresh new look. I don't think that really had anything to do with it. I think they went after a guy who had the experience, that had been there and had done it at the highest level of all levels. And that includes Jason Eck. Jason Eck took a 2 or 3 win Idaho program, and they were in the FCF playoffs 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row.
3.
Or was it 3 years in a row? So they're looking for coaches that have the experience, in rebuilding, that kind of know what challenge lays ahead, especially with the transfer portal and having to deal with basically re-recruiting a team every single year. Has Zach Arnett had that type of experience? Not necessarily. I mean, I think he was the interim head coach at Mississippi State for half a season, and he kind of just held serve. And there was probably good reason why they didn't bring him back. I don't think it's not because he didn't do a good job. I just don't think he had the experience that they wanted in someone to run an SEC football program. And when UNM interviewed him, I don't think that they were looking for someone with a lot more experience than that, someone that's going to be here long term, that's willing to invest their time and commit to a rebuild, and someone that's done it before. So it's not a knock on Zach Arnett. Not sure where he's going to end up, but I know he's probably got a few offers to be a defensive coordinator at a lot of really big premier schools. And I would love to see him come back here and maybe run a defense or two and kind of make his way up the ranks, because I think it kind of fits his personality. But that's just my comments there. And they're going to hire someone that fits the job. If I'm a hiring manager, it's what I do for work, and you're going to look for the most experienced person that has already been doing the job, and not someone that you can afford to get by a season or two as they kind of get their bearings about them. So that's just my take.
I think it's and I'm going to get to you in a second because I do want to hear your thoughts. I'm not saying it's a bad thing that they don't have Lobo football blood in there. I mean, I would have been a big advocate for Ned James. Ed, I'm going to throw it to you, but I didn't look this up, and I hadn't mentioned this on any of our shows. Jason Eck took over in 2022. They made the FCS playoffs. It's a field of 24. Couldn't think of the word there. They got in, they lost. He has gotten them to the quarterfinals 2 years in a row. Yeah, you want to win. They lost to Montana State. This Montana State team is a juggernaut. I'm going to have them on tomorrow too, because the semifinals for the FCS are tomorrow. But they won games in the playoffs. I mean, I don't know what more you can ask for. Obviously, you want to win the whole thing, but that's consistency. His record.
It took multiple seasons too, and that's what I mean about consistency and the commitment of putting in time. It didn't happen in 1 year. Bronco had somewhat of success in 1 year, but I think a lot of that was attributed to having the pieces that were recruited by Danny Gonzalez, or at least some of it was attributed to that. But think about the commitment and time if you would have stuck around. It takes time to rebuild from where the Lobos currently stand. So that's just where I was coming from with that. They're looking for someone to just re-anchor it all and redevelop it with a vision that Lovo just talked about, and Eck just fit that bill a little bit better than the rest.
And I'm throwing it over to you. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there.
No, I think with when Mendenhall was hired, I know you thought it was a strange hire, Ryan. I get that, but there was a lot of guys that didn't. The guys that we had on the show swore by him: Landrick Brody, Ian Clark, Curtis Flakes. They had all been around him. And so I think when he was hired, they could at least say, some of the alumni could say, well, there's a connection to Rocky. When Rocky was here, with some of the best years, Ryan, you were a big fan back then. You didn't miss a game. So I think when he was hired, a lot of people thought that, hey, he was a defensive coordinator here. He wants to be here. They didn't think it was a bad hire. And I didn't either at the time. Now it was, as it turned out to be, was it a bad hire? He won 5 games here. They had him on a cusp of a bowl. He didn't make it. And he's gone after a year. My thing is, like I said, you don't want to be a Lobo, get lost, get in a win. I think that guy doesn't matter to me. He's gone. Doesn't want to be here. So I think for some, I think, a guy like Ian Clark. Ian has been on our show, 3 or 4 times. He was a little frustrated. He texted me the other days. He's a little frustrated with the hire. Ian's a Lobo. Ian will back up Coach Eck. I guarantee it. Of course, he's a little frustrated right now. I'm sure he wanted to see Holman Wiggins or Zach Arnett get an interview and maybe get the job. But I think Eric's right. Zach Arnett, he had 1 year experience. Ian mentioned the way he could break down defenses. It's amazing. But I think with a guy like Jason Eck, and Ryan, you said it. How could you how could you go wrong? He's got a great record there at Idaho. He did a great job in rebuilding that program. I'm excited. He's excited. At least when he came here, seems he doesn't seem miserable. At least right now, he seems happy as heck. He's engaging. He's personable. Does that win you football games? Of course not. We've got to see what he's going to bring in as far as the team. And he mentioned personnel and what he likes to run. He's got to bring in players that fit his scheme. We've got a long way to go to see before that happens. But as far as everything else goes, I think, some of the guys around the program that had played with Coach Long wanted to see somebody like, Holloman Wiggins or Zach Arnett get a shot. That's understandable. It's moved on. That ship has sailed. And knowing, Ian is as well as I do, I don't know him super well, but I know him well enough. He's going to be a Lobo fan when the season starts. He wants New Mexico to succeed because he's a Lobo. So that's the way I look at it. I think it's a great hire from where I'm at. I think he's going to be a good coach here. And again, though, there's other things that have to happen to make the football program successful. So, they haven't happened in the past. And again, this is not all on Fernando Lovo. It's not. There was other ADs here that didn't get it done either. They didn't. And, so let's see if they have the will of the community, the support of the state. Are they going to develop the area around the stadium so there's restaurants, things that people want to come to? I think there's a lot of questions still, and we'll see in a couple of years if they're answered.
I'm not going to talk much longer because I'm so amped for this college football playoff game. I didn't want to talk too long. We wanted to get Fernando Lovo on for all of you.
I'm going to plug the podcast.
Go right ahead. Sorry,
Ryan, if you don't mind. We're releasing 1 or 2 podcasts a week now for all you out there,
and I'm not on them.
Even better. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. Rick, Jacob Neff jumped on one last night. We released it this morning. We broke down the VCU game, and amongst others, I think we've probably pumped out 8 to 10 new podcasts in the last couple weeks. So hop on over if you're looking for some drive time content. You commute to Santa Fe for work. Check us out. We appreciate the listens.
I'm glad you guys do it because I think it gives us it's a different avenue. I mean, it's a different body of work. So again, if I'm not your cup of tea, just like Bronco Mendenhall when he said, "Gee golly," it's just like, no, please just say it how you expletive mean it. Like, we suck at defense. Just say it. Which I wish he would have, Ed. He almost was what Hank Stram. We got to articulate the ball down. Got to matriculate the ball down the field. No, it's not. This isn't 1969 on NFL films. I
just got to jump in because they had the KC jackets, man. The red jackets with man. Yeah. Oh, and that was classic NFL films. For people like me that are old enough to remember that was some awesome stuff.
Yeah, that was a dream job to work for NFL Films, and they're based in New Jersey. I wanted to go to some of the comments. Ed, I saw you commented. Oh, yeah, I mentioned Diego Pavia on Wednesday. Diego Pavia, John Romero. John, happy holidays. Happy New Year. I wish that guy that told me to inform myself was listening because I would tell him I'm Jewish, so don't wish me a Merry Christmas. Diego Pavia has added to his profound legacy and paved the way for thousands of JUCOs for decades to come. I really wanted to say annals of NCAA history have been re-chiseled in stone thanks to the legend. Once again, what would Jesus do? Would he break into his neighbor's house and take a piss on his carpet? I don't know. Eddie Dunn, Signetti, I'm done with that comment. Eddie, thanks for listening. Jimmy H, sorry, John, but Pavia simply added another nail to the NCAA coffin. I don't know if that's a bad thing or a good thing. I know I saw something else there. Hey, Ricky's jumped on.
Richard. Greetings, Earthlings. Now entering your radio from the Bay. Great interview with Mr. Lovo. I enjoyed that. And good job by you guys. Some good questions.
I appreciate that.
Let's get your thoughts on the hire real quick before we jump off.
AD or football?
AD.
Both.
Lovo.
I like it. He came up through the ranks, right? Started as equipment manager at Florida. I wanted to ask who was on the team at Florida during the time. Did it include any of the tight ends who may not want to be mentioned? But he worked his way up from Florida. Had positions, over whatever, he's 14 years now probably of working in those types of sports jobs. Great experience at Texas, one of the biggest athletic departments, or I would think, I don't know what the exact number is, but money wise, I would think. So lots of experience managing a large budget. Had good leader there in Conti, I believe. And I think he's really enthusiastic, enthusiastically leading this only a few weeks in. Got another good leader alongside him. Hopefully, his relationship with Coach Eck is strong, and their relationship with the NIL and Jalen Dominguez and everyone there is forming a team, right? And I think what he's going to be able to do is build a vision and hopefully put the plan in place to get them to that point. It seems like there's more resources now available than there has been in the past. I know football starting from ground zero, but it seems like they have a program builder in Coach Eck. The community was happy to see him last night or 2 nights ago at the basketball game. And I think everyone's just ready for a fresh start. And I like your guys' comments about having someone from outside the community coming in. I think there'll be a little less, jaded or whatever you want to call it, and just ready to hit the ground running like he's had to do. I think now he'll have some time to really start planning and see what his resources are, because he's been in the fire the entire time he's been in the seat. So hopefully it calms down for him now and he can, start putting his plans in action and see what other talent he wants to bring into the athletic department. And if there's people maybe that don't fit that need to be moved around. So I'm all for it, his hire.
I'm not ragging on him. It's more of a comedic thing. He takes the job, and I mean, when he hears Broncos leaving, what do you think is going through his mind? Is he like, I don't know how I'd be like, it'd be a hard expletive for me. I mean, I wouldn't be angry. He'd be like, okay, I'm going to go get my guy. But I wonder if anybody had asked him that, like, what was going through your mind when you learned that you took this job and a pretty well-known, successful head coach was just leaving? I'm just curious what was going through his mind. I feel like, Ricky, you're more equipped to answer that question. But Eric, I'll go to you.
I don't think he was here long enough to really grasp what or even knew what he had. He probably had 1 or 2 meetings with him in person to really try to figure out the next plan. And I think he figured out pretty quickly that Bronco wasn't committed to being here the next season. So, I mean, to me, if I'm in his position, I'm like, well, I get to get my own guy in here now. I get to vet someone, and I get to use the team that I'm surrounding myself with. And what do we want this program to look like? Do we want to get someone that has a character that kind of supports our vision and just rebuild it in the way that you want it. So to me, that's kind of how I would think they saw this. And it's really hard now with college sports because you don't know who's going to be committed for the long term. You don't know who's going to be here next year or not. So I think you have to keep an open mind about everything. And like Lovo said, you just have to be adaptable to kind of the current climate and be nimble enough to make adjustments when needed. But he got his own guy and he vetted him and he hired him for his own set reasons. So that's what I think. Rick, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't know if what he was thinking when he heard the Bronco news. It was probably, a shock that he wasn't expecting, like most of us were not. Even those of us that heard the rumors weeks before were still, I think, a little shocked by it. So quite a spot to be put in. I think he's handled it with grace so far. He's even sitting in the student section getting smelly with all the students, so I got to give it to him. A hell of a first few weeks. And I think, he's just going to build on what he's done and only a short time.
I think with the way Eric, you mentioned college athletics, or Eric just jumped off.
He just jumped off.
Yeah, but I think the way it is now, there's no surprises at all. I think somebody must have given Fern Lovo the heads up that Bronco may not be here, and so that's what I said. You have to be ready to hit the. You said it, Rick. You hit the ground running, and I think you have to be ready at any moment to hit the ground running. Now, let's be honest. If Coach Patino has a good season here and they do well in the tournament, the exit stage left, man. He's not going to stay here. That's just the truth. So I think if you're an athletic director at the college level, D1, D2, you've got to be ready for the unexpected and have your guys ready to go. I think he wanted Coach Mendenhall to stay. I think they offered him some more money and some more promises that they would improve the program. That guy was gone. And so when that happened, he had to be ready to go get his guy. He got his guy, and I think he got a good guy. So, I don't think there's anything that surprises you as an athletic director, coach, player. That's the nature of college athletics these days.
No, that's a good point. I wish Eric would hang on to hear that rebuttal. Yeah, I think it was more of a joke. Like when you just heard that news, like what the hell? What did I just walk into? But yeah, I think he's handled it. I mean, that's a big first week on the job. And it's not like he's replacing anybody at, Texas or Florida or hell, even USC. I don't know if it was a hard sell. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure if you're trying to get back in the coaching game, you'll go coach anywhere. I think that there is a potential here. Somebody mentioned to me the other night that UNLV is a sleeping giant when it comes to football. I think UNLV might have longevity, especially with Dan Mullins, what Barry Odom was able to accomplish, and playing in Allegiant Stadium, and what monetarily that city what that city has monetarily. It's Vegas. When you say Vegas, I think the first thing that pops up in your mind is a dollar sign. But I thought kind of when Rocky was here, UNM was a sleeping giant. And again, you got punched in the face when you play them. Ben Wysong talks about it all the time. They might not have beat people, but they punched them in the face. And the next week they felt it when they played their other opponent, and they probably lost. Does anybody have any final thoughts?
It was a great season by UNLV. I wouldn't call them a sleeping giant. If you look what they've done over the past 3 or 4 years in investing into their football facilities, even before Coach Odom was there and now left, they get to play at probably the top field now, and they just hired, a coach for $3.5 million. The head scratching thing is, why now are they dumping all this money into UNLV? If they're staying in the Mountain West, and decided to forego the Pac-12 if that was an offer. I think they're hoping that the Big 12 will give them an invite down the line, but the Big 12 does not want them. They don't want to share revenue with them. So I don't understand why UNLV is going all out at this point if they're staying in the Mountain West. It seems like it could be done for a cheaper price, unless they're trying to eventually get elsewhere, which I think they are. And that's just my thoughts on UNLV.
Ed.
Yeah, you know what? UNLV had a great season, and it didn't, turn out the way at the end that they wanted to. They didn't get to a college playoff. When we went to the Mountain West Football Conference, in June, was it June?
Days.
Was it July? I can't remember.
Yeah,
but
July.
There was a lot of optimism around that team. In your favorite linebacker, I can't remember. What's that guy's name that plays for UNLV?
Oh, it's my man crush, Jackson Woodard, who declared the NFL draft today.
There was a lot of optimism around there. We got to talk to Ricky White, and Coach Odom, their coach there, moved on to Purdue. So they had they won more games than they had ever had in a season, and ever, I think. So they had a great season. So I think they lost their coach, and I think Mullins is going to, as you mentioned, Ryan, is going to do a good job there. So they're going to continue the momentum that they built. And nobody thought that would be possible a couple of years ago. They weren't known for football, and this year they were. So I think Mullins is a great hire there to keep the momentum going.
They beat a Big Ten team in a bowl game and went 11-3. Ed, you always say it: 30-5 seasons don't grow on trees. 9-4 seasons don't grow on trees. I would take 11-3 and a victory in the LA Bowl presented by Gronk and his STD, like right away. I think, I don't know. I thought that was a bad joke, but anyway, I'm crashing and burning on my jokes tonight, but I don't know. They go 11-3. I always make the comment, you're the Lobo fan since 1970. I think we still hold 2007 in a high regard because that team went 9-4 and they beat a formidable quarterback, really kind of known at the time, not what his name resonated maybe a decade ago or 7-8 years ago, but was an offensive force, could throw the ball, could run the ball, and they shut him out. I know it was here, but I don't know. It was a positive thing to go 9-4. I thought that was going to be the stability for Rocky over the next couple of years, and they went 4-8 in 2008. So I think it's disappointment, but I would take 11-3, 10-3 any day of the week. Hey Ed, have you ever seen Jim Holzman and Fred Romero games back in the 70s?
I did. He's asking about Fred Romero, and you guys, you guys are way too young to remember him.
Yes.
Former head coach at West Mesa, died at 94 years old in Scottsdale, Arizona. So that's why he's asking me about him, and the longtime head basketball coach at West Mesa. Of course, Coach Holzman, the legendary coach at Albuquerque High, who's still with us. So yeah, I did see those games. I sure did.
I was on mute. I want to throw out to you guys, Rick and Eric and Jacob. I appreciate you guys doing the podcast. I think that's once again really good for us. My voice isn't on everything. And I don't want to do everything. It's not a lazy factor. I think it's a good thing. And you guys know basketball inside and out. I like to lose money on it, as I always say. We are wrapping up at the end of the year here. Rick and I are trying to come up with, I think, a podcast. It might be a live show. I don't know yet. An end of the year review, where we will award, I don't know what we're going to come up with. We threw a couple of things out, maybe play of the year, maybe for Lobo Athletics, play of the year in the calendar year. Game of the year, jackass of the year. I don't know, things like that. But Rick and I are floating around some ideas for that, and we'd love people's input on that. I already have thought for play of the year and game of the year. And I think we want to do a snake of the year. I don't know what that award would be. Maybe we just give it to Snake for being Snake. But Rick, I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I'm writing down all the guests we've had, all the interesting moments we've encountered, all of my favorite commenters in the comments, all my favorite tweeters out there. So I'm trying to come up with some interesting categories. I'm trying to remember the memorable moments outside of basketball and football. We got Hap Tom Samuel losing his shoe and running a race with only one shoe and still almost winning. We got Vianney Cumber beating UNLV on a last-second shot, number 25 UNLV last year. So there's a lot of good Lobo moments that I'm going through and trying to document so we can, give some awards out. So really looking forward to that. And also got a podcast coming out this Monday with Lobo's former offensive coordinator, the last time they were relevant, Bob DeBess, joined me for about 40 minutes to talk about his career. And the new coach, Jason Eck, who actually reached out to Coach DeBess before he took the job to see if there were any red flags, I believe. So broke that down. That'll come out Monday. But later next week, me and Ryan will have a full-fledged awards show coming out with the rest of the crew here.
This might go up here for comment of the year. What the F? You guys have Fern on today? Did I miss him? If you follow our Twitter, it said 4:15. It said 4:15 p.m. Mountain Standard.
Just rewind. Just rewind.
Yeah, just rewind us. I just thought that was great. Bronco is definitely jackass of the year. Stop. I grabbed my 9. All I heard was shells. Ice baby. Yeah. You can go back and rewatch it on our YouTube channel. There at Lobo Ronnie. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, we had him on at 4:15. He was great. Next Monday, I am efforting Mr. Jeff Symbieta. He is busy. He got back to me today. He said he was busy. Everybody's working for the weekend. He is going to try to join us Monday. He can't join us Friday. Obviously, no show Wednesday. I think we all want to take the day off and then no show the following Wednesday with New Year's. And then Rick and I will try to get out and whoever wants to join us for the top moments of the year. I hate you, Ryan. Yes, many do. Hey, everybody.
Top comment. That's the top comment.
The top comment of the year. I hate you, Ryan. Is it because I called you Lobo and Ronnie, or that everybody's working for the weekend? What else we got going on? You know who I forgot? Philip McDonald. He was supposed to come on 2 weeks ago when we had Wilt Weber. I'm going to shoot him a text, see if he can't join us Monday. But we are efforting. Anybody ever watched the Simpsons or the No Homers Club? Philip McDonald, Jeff Symbiota, hopefully on Monday. Ned James on Monday, as always. Ben Wysong. It might be a jam-packed show on Monday. We'll get Ned James' thoughts on the NFL and the college football playoff. Ben Wysong grew up, has ties to Columbus. We'll get his thoughts. So 2 former Lobos football players on the show. I want to keep those guys on Monday. They've been really good to us. So you can look forward to them every Monday during football season for as long as we do this again. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the show will be live. Look out for Rick and Eric and Jacob and their podcast recapping, previewing basketball games. Rick, I'm very happy you got Bob DeBisi. Is it Bob DeBisi?
I think it's the best.
The best.
I could be saying it wrong. I called him that about 3 times in the interview, and he didn't tell me anything. So I heard other people say it was the best when they were saying it, and he didn't give me any bad looks. So his, the football insight that he has, he's taught clinics on the triple option and the orbit motion and the window dressing and the eye candy that he put out there. So just listening to him talk about football was really great. He had a good time on the show, and hopefully we'll have him back for some more now that he's a retired coach.
No, I'm glad you got a hold of him and did that, Rick. That was perfect. And I appreciate all your hard work. But what else? Show next Friday. UNM again has the week off basketball wise. Then they open up the full slate of conference play. Again, they're 1-0 in the Mountain West Conference against Colorado State next Saturday. I believe tip-off is at 1 at Moby and Fart Collins. I like Colorado. It's Kirby Fart Collins. What's the other one? It's all Fart. Burger Fart.
Colorado State has to play Nevada this weekend in a big Mountain West matchup. So that'll be any game in Moby is a tough out, even though Colorado State's a little down. So it's going to be hard for UNM. It's not. Is it at home though? Lobos are playing at home, but I think Nevada is going to Moby, right?
No, it is in
Reno.
Yeah, it's in Colorado. It's in Fort Collins.
Either way, they're a tough out. They just hung with VCU themselves last weekend, where they were in it in the thick of things until the last 2 minutes. So I think Nevada is still at the top, but it's Colorado will give us a hell of a time as well. Are you guys going to be there at the CSU game?
No, can't swing that one. That would be a great one to go to. I'm going to Boise and San Diego, and I'm probably going to go to Reno, but for sure I'm going to.
No, I mean at home, the home game.
Oh yeah. We'll be there for that, of course. Okay. But well, now that we're talking about away games, I'm going to go to Boise State and San Diego State before they leave the conference. I've already been to a Boise State basketball game when they played San Francisco last year. I like their arena. It feels like a mini. I mean, it has nothing on the pit. It really doesn't. And when you walked into it, I thought it was a Taco Bell, given that it used to be called Taco Bell Arena. But that's what I'm doing. I think that would probably be a good game to go to. But anyway, I have my eyes, as the TV people say, all eyes on Nevada and Colorado State. What are you guys' pick for the college football playoff? I know it's Penn State, Rick.
One last basketball comment. On Sunday, Utah State plays at St. Mary's, just north of me. I wish I could go, but I can't. College football playoff, I think it's just begun. I like all the favorites. I know there's some cold weather games, and that could make things interesting at Notre Dame and Penn State. I think SMU could have a slight chance of maybe upsetting Penn State. That would be the only dog that I'm really liking right now.
Ed, are you going to be watching
tonight? I'm very excited or interested to watch that Notre Dame Indiana game. I think this playoff has given us matchups we'd never see before. So I'm going to watch that one for sure. But I asked somebody the other day who's really knows football, college football more than me, and he really likes Oregon. He thought Oregon's still, even though they're the number one team, he thinks they're the most complete team. So I'm looking forward to watching them play too.
They got a lot of speed. That'll be on New Year's Day, I believe, and then ASU I think will play. What is it, Tennessee or no? They'll play SMU or Penn State. I got to look at the bracket again. I know the seeding, but I'm confused by it. Anyway, or not confused by it. I just can't see it. I forgot it. Great job hosting the show there, Ryan. To the guys that were going to say the hate club, the Ryan Tamori hate club, or is it Eric Markham? Ryan, you're the backbone of the Pit. I guess Pittsburgh Press. I love you, man. Thank you. 2 T's in there. I appreciate it. Check us out next week. I'm going to let these guys go. Thank you to Fernando Lovo and Frank. Appreciate it. Appreciate you helping him on. When the new year flips, plan on Jason Eck having him on the show. Looking forward to that. I hope everybody has a great weekend. We will talk to you Monday. Ed, I appreciate everything you do. Thank you for your contributions.
Thanks, Ryan. Always great to be on.
Yep. Appreciate all of our listeners. Check out our website, the Pit Press NM. Go to our YouTube channel. If you missed the Fernando Lovo interview, it will be on. Just go to our YouTube channel. It'll be posted thereafter. I will see you before Christmas and Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. So I will just leave you on. See you on Monday and enjoy your weekend. Don't do anything that I would do.